Welcome to my channel Electronics and Wheel, and I'm continuing the previous video. So here you can see there are few components which are used in the charging system. First is the battery, second is fuse, then charging lights. Charging lights is nothing but, which I have already told you in cluster, that we have an indication or telltale which shows that battery is discharged, whether battery is charging or not. Then ignition key is nothing but your ignition switch. Then regulator, this is the integrated part of the alternator which regulates the voltage. Then alternator, then wires. So battery is nothing but, the function of battery is to store the electrical energy. Like a warehouse of battery will store all the electrical energy generated by the alternator, and then this stored electricity is removed when necessary. What is the meaning of remove? That it will be going to the loads. Then fuse. So fuse are the different function that, as already told you, that this particular fuse can be called main fuse. In place, it is generally placed near to the battery positive terminal. As you can see here, the function of this fuse is to protect the entire electrical system of the car for the excessive current. As I already told you, there are two types of fuses: primary fuse and the secondary fuse. So this is a primary fuse. So generally fuse capacity is up to the more than 60 amps for this particular. So it depends always on the alternator, what alternator rating or how much maximum current in this particular system is there. Then while the function of fuse is a safety of series of specific electrical wiring, in conventional charging system there are two fuse with same capacity. It is about 10 to 15 amp. A fuse is used as a voltage regulator fuse, and another fuse is used as a charging and voltage relay. Then charging lights. Then charging lights is nothing but, or charging lamp, commonly called this particular common, commonly called a charging warning light. It is an indicator to indicate the presence of failure of charging system if your alternator is not charging the battery. When the ignition key is on, then this light will light up normally, as well as when the engine life of this lamp should be turned on. If it is red, then it could mean a charging system failure. So as I already told you in this particular thing, if suppose it is blinking, then it means then there is a issue in the charging system. Then ignition key, sorry, ignition key, if you see here, this is the also part of charging system. So ignition key is nothing but a switch. So charging system will be activated automatically when the engine is running. So charging system is nothing but alternator. If alternator is working, then when engine is working, then alternator will also will work, because it will be connected through the pulley. Then ignition switch is used to switch to connect and disconnect the power positive battery terminal from the battery to rotor coil. So when ignition key is on, then electricity from battery to coil rotor will be connected. The ignition key is turned off, then power supply will be cut off. So it is not possible for alternator to generate the electricity when ignition key is off. Even the engine crankshaft is rotated. Then regulator. So regulator, already I have told you, regulator is nothing but to regulate the voltage. So someone can answer me how much voltage the alternator provides to charge the battery and loads. So if my 12-volt system, then how much is the alternator output? Can you please comment in the comment box and tell me? There are two types of regulator, namely like conventional type or type of IC. The conventional type uses two coil to adjust the alternator output voltage, while IC one uses the IC circuit, that is like MOSFET and BJT and all those. Then alternator comes the second last. That alternator, the function of alternator is nothing but to convert the partial energy of rotating energy into the electricity. Alternator input comes from the engine pulley connected through a V belt. The rotation of rotor will cause the intersection of magnetic force line and with the starter coil, so that electrons flow in a stator coil. So this is how these points are related to the charging system. Wires, as you know already, these charging wires or the wires are connected from this particular wire, this particular wire, this particular wire. So these are all integrated part of the charging system. I hope you got my point, what I'm trying to say. So if I say the working of the charging system, so electricity in each position of the ignition switch. Ignition switch, you have seen in starting system, there are some position for the ignition switch. So in ignition switch, when the on position is there or your engine is cranked, then so there are around 4 to 5 positions, right? One is on, then off, accessory, on, then the last one was the crank. So in on position, the engine will not be running. Okay, only when you crank the engine, then only your engine will crank and your alternator will be attached with that, then it will work accordingly. So when ignition switch is on position, then current flows from the battery to alternator. The reason of this as follows: alternator generally used for the vehicle generate electricity by rotating magnet. The magnet is not permanent magnet but electromagnet that generate the magnetic force by flowing the electricity inside. Therefore, it is necessary supply electricity alternator before starting the engine to prepare the generating electricity. Okay, so ignition switch on and crank, then engine is running. So already I have explained all the system. So there might be some cases like a visual inspection and performance test of the battery must always be performed before inspecting the charging system. So if I say your battery is fully charged, then what would be the voltage? Don't say it would be 12 volt. Please comment in the comment box and write that when you're fully charged 100% SOC, okay, then what would be the charging voltage of this battery? You just write down in the, and I am giving you hint that this particular voltage would not be 12 volt, it will always be higher. Okay, and that time I told you that why we do not have the current from this to this direction. There is a reason of this reason will come in this only. So suppose some issue is coming, or suppose your battery is not charging, so you can see through this particular circuit that if your fuse is blown, then there is a chances that your battery will not be charging. That might be also reason. Suppose there are very interesting thing which I want to tell you in a practical way. So this particular pulley, this side is connected to the engine, and sometimes what happens that if you are taking the RPM from this particular alternator itself, so what happened that it does not give the proper reading to the cluster, and there are many times we have seen that there are the tension in that particular belt which is connected to the engine is having either it is too loose or too tight. If drive belt is too loose, it will slip around the pulley or causing the alternator to charge irregularly or not at all. If it is too tight, then what will happen? If drive belt is too tight, then internal bearing damage will cause the premature alternator failure as well. So you have to check all those things when you are working on your vehicle. So that's all about this charging system. I have given you the practical example of this. If you want to know more about this charging system, you can put in the comment section. I will be happy to answer you. Now in the next video, we will discuss about the power distribution, where we will discuss about the how the loads are distributed. So I will just give you one glimpse of this, that how the vehicle electrical loads are divided into the three category: continuous load, prolonged, intermittent. We will see what are those loads. Then we will see the load calculation also, what type of alternator we have to decide how much power it should give. Then what is the charging system basic principle, where I will discuss that how the current flow from the battery to alternator or alternator to battery. This thing also I will show you. And then load calculation, we will see that how much is there. Then we will see the power distribution as well, where we will see that what is the main source of the power, then power distribution, then your loads as well. Then we will see primary power distribution, secondary power distribution, then electronic control units. So all these things we will see, but I require from your side the support. Please like, subscribe and comment. So if I get at least 400 subscriber on this channel, then definitely I'm going to make this power distribution in a detailed way. I have shown you how I am going to. So please like at least. I don't understand, if you go outside this particular and get this particular training, then you will spend 25,000 rupees for this. But I am giving you all everything free of cost. But still the people are not liking, neither they are commenting. They are just watching the videos, neither they are subscribing. Subscribe and comment. Thank you. Thank you.